precious minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for another episode of our Patreon campaign. This one is called The Rise. This is episode 51, Gods Among Giants. A little playful title there, as you guys are in the stairs of the Colossi. As always, if you guys like what we do here, you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is just like these fine folks you see here before you by joining us over on our Patreon. Link in the description down below. We got some things moving around on Patreon and some new things possibly coming, so keep your eyes on that. As always, when you're down there clicking on that Discord, that Patreon link, make sure you click on that Discord link. Join us in the Discord. Be a part of the community. Be a part of the conversation. And as always, in the bottom right-hand corner, you see the corruption bar. The corruption bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, I don't know, I step on the players with a giant, or I have the Night Wolf attack them, the Night Beast. And two, every single dollar that goes into that bar goes back to this channel for all kinds of things like overlays, tech support, sounds, overhead, those fun things. And with that, and without any further ado, previously on The Rise. The godlings descended into the third deep, finding themselves in a shattered underworld of forgotten colossi, broken monuments, and blue-lit ruins that once belonged to giants. At the base of the stair of the colossi, they were reunited with the surviving residents of Dawnsfall, including Mina's mother, Arel, now revealed as the goddess of valor. Over a quiet dinner amid the ruins, meeting amid the ruins, Arel urged the godlings to seek out a salvager named Lurisan, a dangerous but potentially valuable ally who may hold the key to escaping the third deep. Where last we left our intrepid heroes, I believe Arel was at the entrance to the refugee camp, to which Antares was in a sort of state between sentinel, brooding, and moping, somewhere in that Venn diagram. Is where we left Antares. Seydlitz was also there doing Seydlitz things, and that is where Arel had referenced finding this Luceren. I believe Mina was still speaking with his father, and Korax was also there, I believe, with Arel, if I'm not mistaken. So that's essentially where we pick up, is Arel just sort of dropped this bomb that she's not asking you for help to get out of the third deep. She's asking you to possibly find Luceren, who can help all of you. He can help them get out, and he can help you guys get deeper. And in doing so, she has invited all of you to dinner at her home.
Just a reminder, Mike, the last thing that happened was Korax said to her that people might know where they are because he is here, because he made a deal with the Munsasha Queen.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. We'll and I believe she responds in a similar way, right? In a way that does not reveal anything. In a way that does not reveal anything other than she is intrigued by this new piece of knowledge. Whether it is good or bad is undetermined, and whether she is interested or upset by the information is sort of not belied on her face. But dropping this information to you, receiving this information from you, Korax, she kind of looks around to the group, and she says, well, I'm going to head back to where we're staying. My husband should be preparing a meal with Mina. You are all welcome to join us, and we can discuss more over food and drink, whatever makes for that down here. Okay, and she turns and begins to leave. Leaving at least the three of you. Yes, we know that Matt is not here today in this episode. I believe he had some sort of family obligation or whatever.
A wedding or whatever.
Yeah.
Not his own, but okay.
A joyous nuptial of a friend.
Yeah.
Ugh. God, how dare. How dare?
Yeah.
So Korax and Antares, you are left there, and I do believe Korax, your sister, had departed after harassing Antares for her lack of flashy and or cool godliness.
Yeah.
So Korax and Antares, the two of you are outside at the edge of town. What are you guys doing?
As Eve walks away, and Terry just stands there and glances at Cora. Like, she's cute.
Yeah, she's the best.
She's definitely got some spunk to her.
She's not as dull as the others. She at least has fun.
Well, you better get going. It sounds like dinner's going to be ready soon.
Yeah, don't be late.
What?
I said don't be late.
Well, I'm just going to sit here and eat my rations.
Well, that's gonna ruin your dinner.
This is my dinner, dude. This is your thing. Your family reunion. I'm not... I don't belong there. All right?
But you've been invited by a god.
Yes, apparently.
Hmm.
All right, all right.
Don't be late.
She'll just follow you, kicking rocks the whole way.
Oh no, you got
Korax, I'm
invited
assuming, is
to
gonna know
dinner.
where to go.
What?
So the two of you head back through the town. Korax having walked through the settlement before, and Terry's you not so much. So Korax kind of leads the way, and as you lead them to what you have been shown, Korax, as the Han residence. Mina, what do they see as they approach this like squat stone piecemealed hovel? What do they see as they enter into here?
I think as they come in, they actually see that they haven't started dinner at all, and that Mina is wearing some sort of tunic that his father's putting adjustments to. Clearly not for Mina; it's too small, but for lack of a dummy to use, Mina's father's using Mina as a dummy.
So he is. So are you full out like mannequin?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys walk in, and you know, home was a very strong phrase to use for what this is. And Korax, perhaps you had more of an expectation here, given that like your family was sort of in a rock teepee. This is basically like a couple of rocks sort of stacked up, and then like a larger rock on top of it. So very like the Flintstones house. So what you see in here is a room that makes for the kitchen, living room, dining room, bed. You see like some furs and like cloth on the floor that you assume is a bed. And you do see that there is a pile of stones assembled into like a stove of sorts, like a place to cook on. And you know, growing up in a small rural town versus growing up in the Nightlands in Corso, there is a meat here. None of you can identify what it is. It doesn't look like any of the game you've caught out in the wild or that may have been brought into Corso, but it does have a meat quality to it, and it's there. It's out and it's there. And we would see Mina out with his arms like a scarecrow in a field. As you see imagine a taller, slightly like larger, and you're not sure if it's like muscle or just like dad bod, but either way, a slightly larger and taller and fully bearded version of Mina. An advanced clone of Mina, who is, around, moving around, fastening buttons, festooning things to this thing. He's got like several sets of needles as he's moving things around. He's got one of those little like bobbin things that you have, like the pincushion things that you're like, he's going all around. Meanwhile, you just see a like shaking head, as Aurel is cutting whatever makes for that impossible meat there in the corner. As you all walk in, Mina knowing the position he's in, that he cannot wave or move or really acknowledge you, because mannequins don't do that, of course. Really, we get Norm playing Cardboard Mina in actual. So Corax and Antares, you walk in to this, which is probably the most un-Mina you've seen Mina, as you enter into this domicile. You can sit anywhere.
I think she's stuck. Like, I'm assuming they have to like kind of crouch through a doorway when they enter. So she's like, she pauses mid crouch and just looks at Mina, and then straightens and then moves to a spot to sit down. Thanks. Thank you.
All of the chairs and tables are also rocks.
Oh, okay.
Everything in this shanty town is rocks. It's rocks and whatever they had when they ran away from the flaming town. So you sort of sit in, sheepishly give a thank you. Corax, what are you doing?
Corax walks in and smiles at Mina, who stands there awkwardly. And Corax will find a seat, remove his cloak to make it like a cushion to make the rock slightly more comfortable, and he sits very quietly.
You can hear in the background that there is a humming coming from Aurel as she is cleaving into this meat, and sort of you see that there's it's very warm in here because it's a stone edifice, and the fire is sort of roaring, heating up this like stone slab, as she throws a piece of meat on there to sear, and you hear through like not like a Popeye voice, but like the voice of someone who has something clenched in only half of their mouth. So it's only talking out of one side of their mouth. So everything sounds kind of like a very bassy mid-Atlantic accent. As Mina's father is, oh no, welcome. Come on, sit down, and take anywhere you need to. And I'm just gonna be a minute. I'm repairing something for one of the people in one of the other rocks. Now, any friend of my son is a friend of ours, and he's, and my lovely wife is preparing you guys a meat. He is, as he finishes this, he stitches up a last few seams, and then pulls this tunic off. And obviously, the tunic looks ridiculous. Not just like it's not for Mina, but if you've never seen tailoring happening live, there's like strings and stuff hanging off of it, and it's not until he pulls it off and flips it that you realize that to be stitching it, it was inside out on Mina the entire time. And so he flips this thing out, and everything looks a lot better as he places this on what you assume the central rock is the table. As he places this on the central rock and begins to fold this up, freeing Mina from his duties. And he kind of gives him a little rough elbow in the ribs. Just sit. Talk to your friends.
Mina quickly throws on his own shirt and says, can I get you some water? That's about all they have for drinking.
Yeah, we have what makes for water down here.
That'd be nice. Thank you.
And yeah, Mina just goes to whatever they're using as a bucket, which is probably just a rock with a hollow in it. And,
yeah, well, there is wood here. It's just harder to find.
Oh, okay.
So they do have like a I imagine it would be like a rock. But the cups and the plates and the anything to use is basically a bowl. So what you see is there is a stone basin above which is some sort of plant that is growing. And it looks like, at first glance, it looks kind of like goat's beard, right? Like the way that so it's larger at the top and it just sort of hangs down. And you wrench it like an old washcloth, and it drips into the bucket. And the weed, the moss here naturally soaks up the water from this area and fills the bucket, and you can get a little wooden bowl full of moss water.
She takes the bowl of moss water and she's like, thanks. I feel like we shouldn't be using your small amount of resources here.
He says, oh, no. It's fine. It's actually, despite being very rocky around here, it does replenish quite quickly. I think it pulls the moisture out of the air. So it fills right back up. So you watch, and he goes over and an equal amount just drips into the bucket.
She like passes it down the line to Korax of this little bowl.
Korax holds it and then starts feeling on his cloak to see if he still has a canteen of anything that's drinkable other than this.
As you hold the bowl, it doesn't smell bad, right? It doesn't have like a musty smell. It does have an earthy smell. It has the kind of smell where, like, if you knew anyone who was like, I can make nettle tea, and then just went out into the woods and harvested nettles and then put it. So it has a very like a dirty plant smell to it. Like it's like earthy and sort of like a tea, but it doesn't smell unpleasant. It just smells like this should be a little bit more nothing or perfumed, and it's neither of those things. It's a weird dirt flavored neutral. But he passes out bowls to all of you.
And I think she'll take hers and then she'll gingerly sip it.
It tastes like I described. It tastes like it smells. So it tastes like, not like mud, but it definitely tastes like if you left a cup of water on your nightstand for like 3 days, it tastes like that. A little dusty.
It's all right.
But it's not bad. It's not like vile. And you see him used to it now, being here for some time, just sort of scoop up a bowl and slurp it back as he slaps this tunic and he says, okay, all right, well, I have clearly failed my duties as the chef, but a job is a job, and I have to return this. 3 of you, stay here, make yourself home, make yourself comfortable amongst all of our rocks, and I will be right back. And then he picks up the tunic, takes a few steps, turns back to the stove, smooches Arel on the cheek, and he says, okay, now I will be back. Safe travels. And he heads out of this place.
He just wished himself safe travels.
Yeah. I've decided that Mina's dad is from the Midwest. So safe travels there, don't you know? So he heads out with a tunic to return it to whoever, sort of leaving the group of you, the 4, we'll say, just about in this room. And every once in a while, perhaps not in Terry's, but Korax and Mina, I think you two catch it. There's every once in a while, there's like a very mom glance over the shoulder, like it's the look over the shoulder that says like, pretend I'm not here, right? Like I'm checking on you, but also don't look at the camera, kind of as she's cooking, and being that there's only a room. So she's continuing to cook, and every once in a while she'll like and make a sound, and then like glance over, and then like she's clearly giving you an opportunity to talk if you need to, despite her inability to leave.
Mina just looks over at Corax. Did you find Eve and your family?
Yeah, I did. They seem to be doing all right. My parents weren't around, but the kids were.
Oh, that's
They're doing all right. I'm glad to see they're all safe.
Yeah, that's good to know. I guess once we're rested up, we can discuss getting them out of here.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be here longer than we need to be.
Amanda takes a big gulp of the water and says, yeah, agreed.
We'll need to find that Luersan guy. And I think she sips the water and then puts it down. And then she will look at Orelphus. You said you know where this Luersan guy lives?
I did. Well, in not so many words, I believe I know where he is. There were rumors of an ex-member of the Whitecaps who had well, the rumor is that he went mad here in the stairs and killed his entire delving crew. However, no bodies or any evidence were ever recovered. So no one could prove anything, and thus he was left to continue delving. At which some point, I guess he decided he was better off here. From what I have understood prior to falling down here, was that any delver who had encountered him had nothing but nice things to say. So it should stand to reason that he would be willing to help. As far as I knew, and part of the reason I directed us to the stairs was that he is a short distance from here. I'm not entirely sure where he is from here, but I was aware that he is in the general vicinity of the Grand Stairs.
And she'll glance at the others. So if we can find him and he can tell us how a route to get back up to the top, you guys can all go and get back to safety.
That's the plan. There used to be a passage near here, but I'm not sure what happened. The fissure closed, and we weren't able to return by the way that I had previously known. So I'm hoping him living here, he has kept some sort of reference or map or something of the kind. He, as far as I know, he was returning back to Tanabar Holdfast every, 6 months to a year. So he must know how to get back.
Horax pulls out of his, he shuffles, pulls out from his cloak the map that Telbin had given him, and he spreads it out on what makes for a table. And he looks through and he says, I was given this by a friend, an old friend who said it shows everywhere we've been, or I've been. I don't know if this will help since the way we came closed down, but it might give some more indication of what's out there from which you may have seen.
Did you say a friend, or did you say his name?
He said a friend, an old friend.
Okay. She stops cooking meat TM, and walks over to look at this this map. She kind of leans over and looks at the pathway that has been like drawn as written across this map, and it's a very simple map from what you have seen, but the way she looks at this thing is as if it is like charting a course, as if there is far more detail to this. And you see her like smooth it out along the stone table, and like trace her finger back through places, and like she kind of nods along in acknowledgement about some of the places, like oh, like a very like oh that makes sense kind of way, and then she looks to you and she says, "You are and you can tell there's a moment where she like was going to say something and then self-edited, and was like, you are the your domain is knowledge, correct?"
He nods.
Who gave you this?
He was an old friend. I traveled with him when I left home. He was kind of a merchant that I traveled with by the name of Telbin. We traveled together for a good few months before I left him in Corso.
You say his name, and there is a smile on her face, but not a like a not a like a, oh what a fun little anecdote smile. It's a very like both knowing and simultaneously telling. And she says, and he gave you this.
He did.
Can I ask how?
It was in a meeting we had not too long ago. So it wasn't before I left him. It was pretty recent.
How recent?
Chris doesn't remember exactly, because I didn't make a note of where I got it. Was it in?
It was a dream.
Zamora?
It was a dream.
Was it
It was
a dream?
when you were unconscious in the fungal grove.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very recent.
And
It's,
Harris is just
while
staring at him, like waiting for him to continue.
while we've been down here.
You saw him down here.
It was in a very lucid dream that was more real than dream.
Ah. Interesting. Interesting. Is it the last time have you encountered him? And she motions to Mina and Antares.
On the side, Mina has, but did he know it was Telbin?
Here's what I will say. Given the amount of time since both of you have encountered him, you've had copious amounts of downtime. If you think you would have discussed that with Korax, or discussed that as a group, and Korax, you think you would have described Telbin, I will leave that decision up to you guys if you know that this is the same person that Korax has been talking about.
Mina will just say, yeah, I think so. He gave us this spell that took us to Nod.
Have you been traveling to... Oh, one at a time. Miss, have you encountered?
Yeah. About several months ago. It's right after we arrived in Samora on our travels back out of the Nightlands. And she leans over and she kind of opens a pouch and she pulls out Now a well-worn journal, like leather-bound journal. She's like, he gave me this, and Corax would see it's like he recognizes something he's seen her writing in quite frequently.
This is gonna sound a little off. Do you find that that's helping? Whatever
Sometimes. She looks a little more guarded sometimes.
And did you visit Nod and find that fruitful, Mina?
I didn't find it fruitful, but we found out that Antares, and then he looks at Antares and says, found it useful. And then Corax died, but we fixed that.
That was the time I died there.
Right. Interesting.
I'll just put it right out there. The King of Nod is my father.
She sits down on a rock. The smell of meat has changed, and one of the meats is clearly well done. She sits down, and there's a moment where she just sort of looks through the map as she processes the information here. Okay.
And I did go see him when she will glance at Corax when Corax had his little vision quest with Talbin. I also had my own, and I returned to a Nod that I don't really remember, but he was there and we talked.
Okay. Okay. So, Talbin was a priest. Was a high priest of Sudara before the fall. I'm guessing, given what you've presented here, that a fraction of her domain resides in him, which presents him as a god or a what are you calling yourselves?
I still go by Corax.
Okay. As a divine being, Corax, are you?
We've been saying godlings.
Adorable. Okay. Which presents Talbin as a godling in the familial domain of fate, which means you have all been gifted items pertaining to your fate. And yes, gods are bound to fate as well. Okay. That's very interesting.
Well, Corax has the Book of Fate, and stuff has been happening in there as we do stuff.
Yeah, that's happened a few times. It's changed based on things we've done.
Okay.
I got that from Talbin as well.
Okay.
And she kind
of. Let's table that. Let's table that for just a minute.
Yeah, maybe we should table it for just a minute. Why are you here?
In general, we fell. We were leaving. The ground opened up as a rupture, and we Did I not explain that to you?
Technically, I think you explained it to Seydlitz, but no, I mean specifically, why are you here? How are you alive, Orelphus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The simplest answer is because I didn't die. And unfortunately, that's about it.
Okay, so you did die.
We don't know what happened.
How many other of you are not dead? Of you people are not dead.
How old are you?
Is she? Yeah, she's asking me how old I am. Oh, I don't know, like maybe 30. I don't know how old I am.
Then 2 that I know of.
What does that matter?
What does what matter?
How old I am?
Because if you were 45, then I would have said 1.
So who's the second one?
Your father.
There is others.
I'm sorry, I thought your father is Usket.
Excuse me?
Your father is the king of dreams. He's the god
Yeah.
of dreams.
If he has a true name, I don't remember what it is, if I even knew it in the first place.
Well, there you go.
Can you say that again?
He goes by Usket, but I don't think that's his true name. No, Usket's not his true name. So here's what I think. As far as I know, being up until this moment the only survivor, I don't know what happened. I don't know why or how Elanehtar fell. I don't know if there are other members of my family that are still alive. I don't know if one of them caused this. I don't know if one of them is an assassin hunting the gods. I don't know if it was the people of the land who decided that they no longer needed gods and brought low our domain. And so, I think, if I'm reading your face correctly, the root of your question is, for safety is why I'm here. I don't know who caused this or how powerful it or they are or were. And I didn't know if I was being hunted. I didn't know who was safe to reach out to. And as time went on, the world continued. The worship of gods was nearly outlawed. And more, the people of the land turned their eyes away from our teachings, our guidance. They turned away from their need for us. And as each passing year went, I realized they don't actually need us as much as we convinced them that they did. And so if the world didn't need a goddess of valor, the world still had valorous people, then why show myself and make myself a target? Instead, I lived among you. I have removed my powers. I have created a family, raised them, and loved them in the same way that anyone else would.
And she drops her gaze with that one.
Korax leans across the table. As she was talking, he's pulled the rock out of his bag, and he places it in the middle of the map and says, "You're not the only one. I thought I was talking to Xenia, but I wasn't. And the fact that you thought no one else was alive means I wasn't talking to you. But I was told that there are more alive. And whoever I spoke to kind of spoke to me a bit with the rock, or guided me with the rock. I keep it with me now, just in case."
You've been carrying a rock in your bag this whole time?
"You carry a sword."
It's a sword.
"Yeah, it weighs more than my rock."
Fair enough.
Okay. So, one at a time here. If the... I don't even know what to call him. If the ex-high priest of Sudara is helping to guide you in some capacity, then you are inherently more important than most. The way my sister explained it is that the family in the domain of fate only get involved in the very most important circumstances. Now, I assume that a high priest would follow through with that same respect if given a fragment of that domain, but there are no rules. So either you and anyone he has interacted with in a similar capacity is intrinsically important to the fate of existence, or he has gone rogue and is manipulating fate to his will. I know of him in the capacity as a high priest. I have not seen him in the last 40 years. So I'll let you make that distinction.
She looks to Mina, and I might be going meta here, but I don't care. She looks to Mina and she says, "Didn't Telbin also meet Rhea?"
Yeah, Mina just nods. he was traveling with her, I think. Before she became one of the favored.
So after her little episode at Dawn's Fall, he meets her and escorts her to Corso.
And Rhea said he showed her all the outcomes of me leaving Dawnfall, and that it was my fault that Dawnfall fell because I made that decision.
Why would he show her that, though? If it wasn't true.
Because that's how fate isn't I don't even know what fate is to tell you what it isn't. If, regardless of whether he has gone rogue or he is operating under the guise or guidance of what he believed of Sudara, the way fate happens to people is that events happen. And if Rhea needed to go to Corso for something in her journey, then he could manipulate fate in such a way to get her there. And either she is as important as all of you are, or something had to happen between the four of you, five of you.
I think
with Rhea,
he killed Wexy.
and there is you can see a very like dichotomous split here, where at one you see a deep exhalation of breath and a sadness in the mother Arel as she feels for her son and the weight of that loss, and then you can see the strategic tactician of the goddess of valor as she sighs and like over the parchment of the map slides a hand and sort of places it on Mina and says, "And how did that affect you?"
Mina just turns on his nimbus and he said, before that, my nimbus was a needle and thread. And now you can see the shield with the spear.
And that could be your answer. If this confrontation needed to happen to get you to where you are now, then whatever needed to happen to make that confrontation happen. Fate's a very sticky web. And if that confrontation with your sister never happened, you may not be who you are right now. And if existence needs you to be who you are, then that loss and that confrontation needed to happen. And someone like Telbin may know that.
Mina just gets up and just walks out.
The same can be said for both of you.
When he walks out, she like gives her a look, like it's her fault that he's hurting right now.
She knows.
Yeah.
The map and the book are not simply a nice gesture. And as off-putting as this is to hear, whatever you do after this conversation is fate. If you decide to tear up the journal, tear up the map, that was his intention from the start. If you decide not to, that was also his intention from the start. This is why my sister did not involve herself in these matters and merely observed.
Are you talking about Sidara when you say your sister? Okay. I don't blame Telbin for anything. It's still choices that we all made along the way. Ray had made a choice. She could have killed Mina in that moment because I was there, but she chose to hurt him instead.
She stands, and there's a very heavy pause in that same dichotomous nature of when she was talking about the death of Wexy. In that one half of her understands that you are talking about a rising goddess of something having an altercation with another god. And that's how things were handled among the gods, siblings all or not. But there's another aspect who the same aspect equally feels for Mina, that equally is upset that you are essentially talking shit about her daughter. And she stands, and there's a moment of silence where she just doesn't say anything and looks, and you can tell that there's like some sort of there's two wolves inside you, right? There's this struggle. And she says very placidly, someone should flip the meat. And she walks outside to Mina, leaving Korax and Antares in there. Mina, where does your mother find you?
Knowing his mother, she's set up a training dummy somewhere, and Mina's found it, and he's just going at it with a spear.
She walks up towards your training area. And you can hear, obviously, over the thrum of the blood in your ears, right? You can hear the crunch of her boots on gravel as she walks closer to you. And whether you acknowledge her presence or not, you know she's there. And similarly to when training you in your youth, in your slightly younger years, you being only 18 or 19, she walks closer than someone should when someone is actively swinging a spear around, right? And there is, from the outside, what anyone would understand as like a stern observation, you understand as this is your mother. And she says, put your heel down. You're not thrusting with your arms, you're thrusting with your body, you're thrusting with your legs, your hips. The more movement you have, the more power follows through. And she is coaching you and instructing you in the same way, in the same manner that she used to. As she sort of has a little familial remembrance here in her attempt to give comfort and consolation.
Mina just spins on the ball of his feet, which he wouldn't have been able to do if he had his heel down, and slides a spear across the ground and whacks the figure in the training dummy in what would be the leg. And he said, Wexy showed me that if I stayed more on the balls of my feet, I could be more agile, and I could do that.
What else did she show you?
She showed me that.
Shut up.
Thanks, Jay. She showed me that that defending others above yourself was more important than anything else.
She walks over to you as you rise back from this sweep, right? And she closes the distance with a bit of speed. And as you are positioned with an arm ready, she sort of hooks an arm underneath yours, and you feel the other arm hook around as she reaches under both of your arms and pulls you in and embraces you and sort of pulls you against her in a very maternal hug. And she says, your father wasn't the first. I know what loss is. This will never leave you. This is something you will hold in your heart and in your mind for as long as fate deigns to allow breath in your lungs. Don't let it fester. Don't let it tear you apart. The loss is not the focus.
Mina looks at his mother and says, do you know where she went? You're the goddess of valor. She was one of the most valorous persons I've ever met. Do you know what's happened to her?
There is a long pause. You see her, or you feel her release one of the arms from around you, her right arm, and she fumbles with something at her hip, and she pulls out what looks to be a small, maybe hand-sized cylinder. And she squeezes it, and you see from both ends this javelin extends out. And she lets go of you with the other arm. And you can see that there is hesitation. There's a look on your mother's face that you're not familiar with. And in this moment that we see here, that is the breadth of a few heartbeats. For you, it feels like forever. As you watch your mother's face and the realization of the emotion that she is feeling hits you. And you can tell that she is feeling fear. She steps back, takes the spear in both hands, and looks down at it. And then snaps it over her knee. Korax, inside the house, you are racked with pain. The first time you achieved godliness, the first time someone else did, this pales in comparison to the agony you are feeling. It is like your brain is trying to rip itself apart and also free of your skull. Mina, you watch as the spear snaps and a blinding glow permeates around your mother. So bright you can barely see her physical form. And you see a number of nimbuses glow around her head. And she reaches out, dropping the spear from her left hand, reaches out and places this glowing hand around the back of your head and gently presses your forehead to what you imagine is hers in this glowing form. And in the moment that you touch, you see a vision of Elysian fields. You see a vision of warriors fighting, reveling in the fight, lifting their both fallen compatriots and enemies off the ground, as if everyone here is friends sparring. You see this battlefield stretch out, various forms of combat, weapons, etc. And you see Wexy as she reaches down, claps the forearm of a fallen soldier, and lifts him to the ground. And you see her fighting her father. You can see that on his arm, on his other arm, is the same shield that you bear. And you know that in this moment, she has passed to exactly where she was meant to. And that in wherever her hereafter is, she is fine. And your mother releases you, and the light fades from her. And under the weight of what she just did, she sinks to a knee. And you can see that she is breathing heavy, as if she just ran a marathon.
Mina picks her up, and carries her back into what makes for the home. And it's as much as a hug as a carry. And just takes her to where the bedding is and just lays her down on there. And he just stays there with her.
In the moments before that, we cut to the house. Korax, you are racked with pain. This is the most intense pain you have ever felt in your life. What are you doing in this moment for Antares to see?
Korax is probably head in hands and sort of stumbling around the room. Not quite screaming, but shouting about the pain. And trying to do anything he can to make the pain go away. So he will drink that mud water. He will, if he finds something that he thinks might help, he would take it. Anything to make that pain stop.
Antares, you see all this. How are you reacting to Korax?
I think she
very clearly in agony.
Yeah, she jumps up in surprise, like hand going to her weapon, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And when he starts like flailing around the room and grabbing his head, and I imagine he's like pulling at his hair even at some point, she would like she's seen him, I believe she's seen him do his little birth of a god thing before. So she recognizes that this seems different, so she'll jump and she will grab him if he lets her, and she will like kind of like hold him and be like it's okay, and she'll try get him to like sit down and like try and keep him from like hurting himself or something like that. If the pain gets too bad, she's just gonna like just hold him for a while until it goes away.
I feel like he drops to his knees when she holds him, and he just sits there almost like in a fetal position with his like head towards his knees, holding his head.
Yeah, I think she would just like hold him.
Korax.
Cradle him almost.
I need you to make me a difficulty 10 intelligence defense roll.
Yeah, this is going to be a fail. I have 1 intellect.
I will allow a knowledge of godly beings to apply here as well.
Can I help in any way?
Yeah, I will also give you an asset for Antares' compassion.
Okay. Let's check if that. He is trained in internet defense tasks.
Okay.
And would his divine shifts count towards this as well?
What are they in?
Intelligence, knowledge, science, and crafting tasks.
Each one is in one of those things?
No, it's a general.
Oh,
so
okay.
Intelligence says it's within this field.
I will give you an option. Here's your devil's bargain. Either no, or yes. If you use them and you fail the roll, your divine shifts are gone temporarily. However, if you use them and succeed, you retain your normal. You're fine.
Can I offer a piece of bullshit?
You could try. I'm always down for some bullshit.
Just because Korax doesn't have any intellect, and my divine shift is in. I have a divine shift in healing, which gives me a free recovery roll. I've passed it to Korax before, but in his like whatever's happening to him, can he draw on that healing shift and give himself a recovery roll in this moment?
Yeah, I'll allow that. I'll allow that.
Okay.
Ooh, I'll take that. Thank you, G.
Can it be at my recovery thing because I have +5? Mine.
I rolled a 1.
I'll say you can give it yours. So what's your roll here?
I have 1d6 +5 to my roll.
So add 2 to that. So add 2 more to that. Korax. So a total of 6.
Okay. I'll take that. Okay, so knowledge of godly beings reduces by 3 for my divine shifts. Intellect defense tasks will reduce it by 1 more. And then I am going to use 2 efforts.
Oh. Oh. You
I have
tried.
1 XP, Mike. Can I re-roll it?
Oh.
Yeah, of course you can.
Normally I'd take the failure, but that was a lot. Knowledge of godly beings.
You still need an 18. Wow. I think, and as this happened, her nimbus glows, and just yeah, it glows, and then it pulses at the same time as his might.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Oh.
The difficulty ended up being a 3.
Really?
With all of that, yeah.
And that's with your divine
Oh,
shifts in there too?
That's with the
Okay.
divine shifts, yeah.
Okay.
Shit.
So you are temporarily barred from your divine shifts, at which narrative purpose will restore those. And Terry's, you feel Korax go limp in your arms. You feel all of the muscles give out in his body, and he is no longer supporting himself under his own weight and is completely slack. He is dead weight. And you watch as his eyes flutter, open and closed, open and closed, open and closed, as his irises roll to the back of his head. He is unconscious, as far as you can tell, or having a seizure. To which you have no real, intrinsic knowledge of the difference. But he is, like I said, eyes fluttering as he is completely just gone limp in your arms. And at this moment, I think, is when you see Mina. Are you physically bride over the threshold, or are you arm over the shoulder, sort of helping a soldier up the battlefield?
No, it wouldn't be the fireman's carry. It would be carrying her in front of him like a bride.
Okay. So Antares, you see Korax go limp, and then you see Mina walking in with his mother in his arms. She does not look great. She is still glowing slightly as he places her down on the furs and fabrics in the corner.
She's conscious?
She is conscious, but she looks like she's not in a good space.
Yeah, so she's just she's like, oh God, Korax. And she's holding him now, and she's full on sitting on the ground, holding him to her. And then Mina, something's wrong. What happened? What's going on? Something happened to Korax.
Give me a moment. And Mina places Arel on the bed, and he will use Devoted Defender to put that on Arel, because that gives him a bonus to dealing with healing with her, as well as finding and protecting and so forth. So he puts her down. He literally is already on one knee, and he will use Devoted Defender. His nimbus will light up, and a glow will go from over him, over her. And once she's on the bed, he will stand up, grab some rags, put them with the old man's beard, and squeeze them together. Toss one to Antares and says, "Put that on his forehead," and he does the same for Arel.
And are you healing Arel? Is that what your attempt is here?
Well, he doesn't really have anything he can heal her with, so he's just trying to make her feel better, I guess.
Okay, cool. Outstanding. You toss the same thing to Antares, and this more or less acts like a sponge, right? To keep them. and so we have this scene of Mina sort of in this bed, sponging his fallen mother essentially, and Antares replicating the inverse as she has Korax kind of like over her lap as she is, and in this moment you hear a jovial whistling coming from outside as Mina's father sort of takes up the threshold of the door with a whistle. You see him, if anyone's paying attention, he stops in the doorway, looks back and forth to the collapsed Korax, the burning meat TM, and the collapsed wife in the bed. And he immediately walks over to Antares and, like, maybe pushing you out of the way a little bit, scoops under Korax's arms and drags him to the bed and sort of like with a knee shoves Mina out of the way to lay Korax next to Arel. And he kind of looks at Arel, who is still slightly glowing, puts her comfortably on her back, and then grabs an animal TM skin and slides it up on top of the two of them. There's nothing that either of you can do.
What happened? And she looks at Mina.
Oh, I don't know. I'm regular.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me. I'm not one of you. I'm a regular man. I don't have any idea what's happening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your help, Mr. Hahn.
Of course.
And she will glance back at Mina.
He sort of takes over where Mina was and is like, dipping a sponge in a bucket, more or less.
And then she'll put both hands on her shoulders and like look at him earnestly, like, what happened? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I think she may have taken back some of her divinity to show me Wexy in the afterlife.
She did what? And she will glance at Korax. He was in excruciating pain, more than what he usually is.
Maybe his proximity to a divine being recovering divinity impacted him worse than ever. I don't know, but she showed me Wexy and then she kind of collapsed and she was very glowy.
All right. So she glances over. You think she'll be okay?
I don't know much about this. Korax kind of knows more, but Dad doesn't seem too concerned. So maybe we should get Korax's family here to might bring him around, hearing familiar voices.
Yeah, maybe. He says he hasn't even seen his parents yet. Maybe we should go find them.
Yes. I mean, that's the most we can do right now. We're not helpful anywhere else. And Mina will go over to where the meat's burning, and take all the meat off the stone, so it's no longer burning. Find a bowl, put it in a bowl, and just put it on the floor for whatever animal seems to come around, and he'll head out the door.
She'll follow him.
Do you know where Korax's family is?
No. But there's a whole bunch of kids. Well, a kid, and I guess he's got older siblings. She goes, oh, Eve! She starts shouting, Eve!
Um, it's not long before you, as you like wander down what makes for the street, as you shout Eve, before somebody responds, yeah.
We need you and the siblings. Korax's siblings, his brothers and sisters. We need them.
Oh, is this because you don't have cool powers?
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
We need the power of family.
Is that a real?
Yes, it's a real thing. Or your parents, she will go up.
Is there a god of family?
Probably. Are your parents here?
That's so lame. That's so lame. Do you know them?
No. They're probably old and crusty.
That sucks more than you.
I know.
Than your power. Your powers. I'm sorry. That sucks more than your. What do they do?
Are your parents home?
No, I can get them.
Yes.
Are you telling on me?
No.
Okay.
Korax is sick and he needs help.
Oh.
Get your brothers. You guys need to pray over him.
Oh, they're. You're getting back at me for what I said.
No,
How
it
old are you?
helps.
I think she's like 11.
Yeah. This is Mina, the guy you pray to.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I understand prayer, but they're just maybe mom and dad, but they're not gonna pray.
Aren't you all adherents?
Not to my brother.
But your brother's a god now, so you should be praying to him. The more prayer he has, the stronger he'll be.
They still call him a nerd.
Yeah, he's the god of nerds now.
That doesn't help.
It's much more impressive than just being a normal nerd.
To people who aren't. Okay.
I mean, he's
I'll
been
tell them.
helpful.
I listen, I will be the messenger for you. But when no one shows up except for me and my parents, I told you so.
Well, you don't want to incur God's wrath, do you?
Yeah, she'll kick their asses. She's mean like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tues will be like, oh my God.
You can tell that there is a complete lack of buy-in. That she is confident that you are getting back at her for talking shit about your non-flashy powers. And she fully believes that her older siblings will not, in fact, pray over nor for Korax, given the familial breakdown here. But she says, I'll find you guys. And she runs off towards like the edge of town, where you know that I believe you were told that her parents are out on like a post, they're on like a patrol, freeing you up to return back to the house or wherever you guys would like to go. She will return with the parents in a few moments, and as she said, it is only her and her parents. But she does return back to the house. Her parents react. The parents react in a way that parents should react to their child being ill, regardless of levels of godhood. So they run into the house, kneel down next to Mina's father, and like take the wet compress, and they're like, sprinkling in this dust water over Korax. And you see that they lay hands out over him, and they begin muttering like old prayers. And you can tell, maybe not Antares, but perhaps Mina. You recognize some of the old prayers, that they are essentially swapping the name Soroyer with Corex. So they are like old hymns to the god of knowledge before the fall, and they are just replacing the word, the name with Corex. And there's a moment where where Eve looks at you, Antares, and then at what's happening, and then at you, and you can tell in this like back and forth that she's trying to figure out if this is an elaborate prank or if he's actually in danger. And then she takes a step towards her brother and one last look at you before joining them on the bed. And she places her hands out as well. So they are praying. Your father, Mina, is damp cloth. What are the two of you doing in this moment?
She leans over to Mina and go, he's gonna fucking hate this.
I disagree. He loves when people acknowledge that he's better than them. And I guess prayer is a form of acknowledging that someone's better than you.
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully this works. I didn't want to have to threaten her anymore.
It can't hurt, I guess. I'm going to see what I can do for my mother. And Mina will also go down on one knee, and he'll start praying to his mother.
Okay. And Terry's, are you doing anything as that happens?
I think she will back out of the room or of the little hut.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when she's alone, she like takes that shaky breath that and then shows like now we can see like how shaken she is in this moment. And I think she's just like runs her hands through her hair. She like paces in a circle, takes a couple deep breaths, and like maybe she like wipes a tear out of her eye, and then she's just trying to compose herself.
Okay. Cool. Excuse me. Inside we see two families praying over two fallen, ill-stricken, whatever, gods. And Corax. Let's deal with you, Corax. Corax, you see flashes. You grew up with siblings, several of them larger and older than you. There's a thing your eyes do when you are hit a little too hard in the head, where there's kind of like a pop, like a bright pop of light. That's kind of what you're seeing. You're seeing these bright pops of light. You're seeing what you know to be synapses firing. You, the god of knowledge and science and all things nerd. You can't turn that ability off. You know things even when you are not consciously knowing them. You see synapses firing. A thing that you cannot see. You know that you are alive. You know that your body is functioning at a capacity, if not lessened. And you see these bright pops as if you are traversing the highways of your synaptic reflexes as you see a connection made as a thought occurs, as a function of your body continues. And you see more of these things happen. And you can hear a low murmur that you know, you can't make out the words, but you know that it is addressed to you in this nothingness. You know that something or someone is addressing you, and you feel the need to at least acknowledge, if not to respond to that. Whether that is nurturing politeness, as it is rude to not respond when someone's calling your name, or if that is some sort of godly presence that you are feeling in the same way that Mina detects when people are calling his name and in need of protection. In this moment, Korax, in this void, this endless, bodiless, selfless moment of synaptic firings, what are you thinking about?
I think Korax, if he's not feeling the excruciating pain, his mind is racing through what are the possible causes. What could be so big and such a massive change that would cause him to feel like that and then be in this space?
Go ahead. Go ahead and roll me a difficulty 3 intelligence.
There's an 18.
Outstanding. That's what you needed before. Do that next time.
Yeah.
You can shape one aspect of the void. What do you shape? You can think one thing into existence.
Ooh. He still has the weird vision, right? Like the
firing?
popping.
Yep.
Yep. And he can still hear the murmur?
Correct.
I think you would want to hear what the murmur is, clearly.
You focus on sound. The absence of sound, the idea of sound, the knowledge and science behind how sound works. And you see these flashes, and you hear the murmur, and as you focus on it, you begin to see the murmur. As among the flashes, you begin to see waves of sound traveling. And you see one, like a thick in green. You see another one slightly thinner in like a bluish purple. And you see another one in a combination of the two colors, like an aquamarine, a thinner one. And you see these three waves moving through this void. And you can reach out and almost straighten them. And as you reach out to these waves, you hear in crystal clarity, as if you were the needle on a record player, the voices of your father, your mother, and your young sister praying to the God of knowledge. Old prayers, prayers you were taught before you became the God of knowledge. Your family is praying for you.
He would hold on to the wave from his sister, and he would hold on to that tightly. But at the same time, be concerned that she's having to pray. And he would turn to the direction that this line comes from and begin to walk in that direction.
Go ahead and roll me a difficulty 4 intelligence. As you begin to walk, holding this line in the direction that it is coming from, the other two begin to muddy again and begin to, like, they're almost like underwater. That murmuring returns. And the further you walk holding this, the less you see of the other two. But your sister's voice remains strong. And you, without a body, you walk. Without hands, you hold this sound. Go ahead and roll me a difficulty 5 intelligence check.
Nope.
As you continue, there is a feeling of coarseness in your hand, as if this sound that you were holding, which has no feeling, were something akin to like a hemp rope, where there is a roughness as you are moving this. And you can see behind where you envision your hand to be, the straight line that you are holding on begins to move erratically. What do you do?
He would stop where he is. And he would look to sort of, I know he doesn't have a body, but he would almost try and wrap himself in that line, wrap his arm into it so that he can't be separated from it, even if it moves. And he would start to pull himself along it.
Go ahead and roll me a difficulty 6 intellect.
Can I use effort, Mike?
Yeah.
In this? Great. I am going to use as much as I can. Success.
You may create a new aspect of this space. What do you create?
A new aspect of the space.
The first being sound.
He would like these popping visions to go away.
Okay. Okay. Cool. You focus on these synaptic pops, right? And you will them, one by one, to blink out of existence. You see a pop, and you know that it will never pop again. Pop, pop, and they slow. And then as you hold this and you're pulling yourself along this invisible line of sound, you see a pop in front of you. And you know this is the last one. And as you watch this, it looks different. The other ones were sort of like a quick, almost like a white, like a bluish white sort of flash. It was quick, it was gone. This pops and sort of hangs there, like a flare almost. And it glows gold. What do you do?
He would reach out to touch it.
You stretch out hands that do not exist towards a light in your mind. And you know that you touched it. And the moment your hand touches this light, you feel a rush of air. You feel sound explode into your mind as you hear this whooshing sound all around you. And all at once, where you had no senses, you are bombarded with sensations. You feel air moving around you. You hear the sounds of wind whipping through your ears. Your clothing is being pulled in all directions by wind. Your hair is being ruffled. Your voice is choked in your mouth as wind fills your mouth. That sort of as you can't quite breathe, as so much air is forced into your lungs that it takes a second for your body to adjust to that. You are falling, Korax. You see the ground rushing up to meet you. You see around you, as you sort of get your bearings, the sky has shattered. Infinitesimal fragments of what looks like stained glass of different colors shatter and twirl and spin around you. There is fire. There is a blaze of something that you know to be power all around you as you rush towards the ground. You are dying. You know that. And you look out among these panes of glass, and through them you see the darkness of the night sky. And for as far as you can see, there is the night sky. The ground beneath you, the horizon in every direction, and the night sky. High in the night sky, you see Nod. Not pulled down, not blocking out the world. You see Nod where it should be. And you see something you have not seen in your lifetime. Something you have only seen in books, scrolls, stories. You see more stars than you have ever seen. And you see constellations you have never witnessed that have been blocked out by Nod. You see a constellation that represents Orin the Firebrand, Xenia the Earthshaker. You see a constellation representing Soroyer's mask. And you watch as these constellations and these stars crack and shatter and blink out of existence. You look around, and as you see the constellations fall, you realize that you are not alone in the sky. You see a man twice your size, bare-chested, sternbush, aflame, and you watch as though he is crumpled like a piece of paper. And he is gone. You watch as a large woman falls. And you watch as her form begins to crack and fall away as if a landslide. And she scatters into pebbles and dust as she dies. You watch as a masked, waifish man looks to you, and you see a crack across the mask on his face, and the mask shatters, and where this man was, you see papers flutter into the breeze, into the rushing winds. And you see something above you. A object, sharp, a spear, crushing down towards the ground. And in this moment, you know exactly where you are. This is what you refer to as the ruinscape. This is near where you are currently, or where you last remembered. And as you fall, you watch as this massive, whatever this is, falls faster and faster and faster. And you watch it strike through, shattering waves of concussive force. And you watch all of this, these people, this glass, this mosaic above you fall to the ground. You watch the fall of Elanehtar. You watch time buckle around you. The moon falls from orbit and begins to sink towards the world. You watch the city of gods plunge and pass through this world and every world behind it. And you hear a divine silence. And then there is darkness. And in that darkness you blink. And you see yourself standing on a plane. Not a airplane, but like a grassy plain. The world around you is dead. You see above you is a sky that is not the dark black of a night sky. It is the dark black of the absence of a sky, where stars wouldn't dare shine. And as you look around, you see a tree. The trunk is made of braided limbs, pale and pulsing. The roots look like veins, crooked, like veins through crooked glass and scorched bone. And the air hums in a terrible stillness. You know that this tree grew from the seed of annihilation. Around the base of the tree, there are no worshippers, there are no supplicants, only melted monuments to gods and pools of ash. You see names of the gods you know and gods you don't, carved into stones, sloughing away like wet sand at a beach. You see your name as it erodes off of one of these stones. You feel a pulse of a power that you can't even begin to name come from the tree. And you hear a voice in your mind. Knowledge. It echoes, reverberating, as if a chorus of voices are speaking at once. Is the threshold. You stepped through. Now the end knows you. You see a shape move out of the corner of your eye. A figure with no discernible face, but infinite eyes watching you. And as it reaches for you, you hear the sound of a ripping scroll as you see the sky tear. And in the light caused by this rip, your eyes open and you see your family crouched down next to you, praying to the God of knowledge. Beside you is Mina and his father, equally concerned and knelt over his mother, who you think might be glowing ever so slightly. Korax, what do you say as you come back to the land of living?
Korax would sit up and he shakes his head and goes, no. It was so close. And he looks across to his family and says, "Why? Why? But thank you. You helped me find a way out, but I was close to something. I don't know what or who. Another mystery." And he would sort of try and get up if he could. And he would hug his parents and pull his sister in as well. And she says, "Thank you for calling me home."
Korax, you awake knowing a number of things. One, the goddess of valor has returned to the world. And you know that everywhere across the world, anyone who has any reference to the goddess of valor being deceased, that knowledge has changed. Her return is noted. You know that a very special book that you carry with you has changed twice in the span of your unconscious state. And you know that there is something older than the gods, not your gods, all of them. Something that remembers the fall, this fall, and all falls that came before it. And you know that it is waking up. What do you do?
He would slowly look across to Mina and look across at Arel before looking back to Mina and says, "Everyone knows she's back."
As you say that, Arel sighs, and you watch any remaining glow fade back to her normal tone. And with some effort, she raises one of her arms and tries to scooch herself up into a sitting position. I'm fine. I'm fine. That was very taxing.
I know that this is probably not the time, but do you know of what came before you, and before the gods before you, and the gods before that?
No. There were rumblings of certain members of my family believed that we were not the first. But when we came into existence, there was nothing before us.
Well, what was there before? I think it's coming back.
And with that,
Fuck
we'll
you.
end episode 51. Korax, you have achieved your first labor and may raise your divine abilities to tier 3. You have figured your shit out.
Yay.
And that concludes episode 51, Gods Among Giants. That was a time.
Woo.
That took some roads.
Jesus.
Outstanding. Hell yeah. That was dope. That was super dope. Let's go around, do our introductions, get the hell out of here. I feel like there's going to be a lot of chatter in the after show. And if you guys want access to that after show, go check it out over on our Patreon. Join us at the $5 tier for that. If you want it real bad, you can get a 7-day free trial at that tier. Go check it out. Get this after show, all the other after shows for all the rest of the shows. Get behind the scenes exclusive looks at the players, their character intuitions, and some plot points as we discuss things after the show. While you're clicking on that link, make sure you join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. But for now, let's go around, do our outros, and get the hell out of here to talk about what came to be a very heavy show. So we'll start with, I think, the person who had the lightest load this episode. G, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I'm G, the Lightning Invoker. You'll find me on all things unMadeGaming, including all the Patreon content and modding for regular streams. Next weekend we have our Patreon one-shots, and then next Sunday we have the Patreon campaign Mundus Novus, and after that we have Atari Twilight Age of Always, a double header on next Sunday. So make sure you come and join us for that. That's the season finale for that.
It's a double header weekend.
Double games on Saturday, double games on Sunday. So it's going to be a busy weekend here.
Toil and trouble.
Yeah. And yeah, you can find me on like socials, Blue Sky, and in the Discord.
Hell yeah. All right. A mentally taxing episode. Chris, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Chris Ekinekra. You can find me in the Discord, in the Patreon one-shots, with G in the Age of Always game, and that's it. And here.
Hell yeah. And an emotionally taxing episode. Norm, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Normal Snow. You can catch me here in the Patreon campaign and in the Patreon one-shots.
Hell yeah. That's it for us, guys. Go check out all those things. Go join us on Discord. Talk about this episode. Talk about all the other episodes, all the other shows. Do all that fun stuff, and we will see you guys next time for more. But for now, that's it from us. So we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.